Welcome to Simplyrobotix, the podcast. A podcast exploring the animation industry one episode at a time. I'm your host, Monique, and you can find me on all social media platforms at Simplyrobotix, Simplyrobotix. This episode is the beginning of something that I haven't done before on the podcast, and that is like a series review, like in actual real time. So I think most of the episodes I will be joined by someone, which will be revealed at the time of. If not, I don't really want to do this by myself, but if I have to, I will. And it's the Marvel What If series that's going on Disney Plus. So it's basically going to be like a spoiler filled, really short review per episode, just going on this journey. And I'm starting with my friend today. So let's just get into the episode, and I hope you enjoy it. For the first episode, I thought I would bring my good friend, no stranger to the show, no stranger to my social media interactions. Hopefully, you've seen me chat. Well, actually, she hasn't been on social media all that much, so you probably haven't seen me talking to her on Twitter and stuff like that. But she's, if you guys tuned into a lot of the Diverse Tunes things, she's been a part of it, and she's been very helpful with that. And that is my good friend, Jaren. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I've been wanting to talk about superhero stuff for a long time. And yes, of course, there's like DC exists and they have so much animated content, which I'm getting to at some point in
I've heard
time.
DC has really good, like, when it comes to their animated content, they're in their bag.
Yeah, and that's like even before all this new stuff. Like if you just go back
Hmm.
and think of
The
the
old
Batman animated
Batmans,
series,
yeah.
yes, Batman Beyond, Teen Titans, Justice League, all that stuff that we like came up with, it's still holding up because that's where I'm at watching, and I'm watching it for joy and for comfort. I'm not watching it for the podcast. That's why it hasn't made its way here yet. But when Marvel released a trailer for this What If series, I was like, great, this is a way for me to like talk and be a part of this stuff
Hmm.
without having to really go into the live action scene, because I'm very adamant about that line. Like I'm staying within the animation side of things. So I wanted to ask you, just based off of the trailer initially, what did you think this stuff was going to be about, or did you have like any expectations for it?
I was just excited to see them experiment. Marvel usually has like a very strict, like when it comes to their cinematic universe, they have a formula. It works. They stick to it. So this was really cool. When I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, y'all finna mess around with some stuff and shuffle some stuff around and see what shakes. So I was really hyped when I saw the trailer, just to see some of the what ifs they were teasing was cool.
Nice. I in hindsight realized I didn't actually know what was going to happen with this thing. Like I had no idea. I think I saw the trailer and I was just excited
Hmm.
on the surface level that I was animated, but my mind was still so caught up in Loki that when I started watching the show, I was like, I actually don't know what this is about to be. I have absolutely no idea. So I'm gonna put it on you. How many times did you watch the episode?
I watched episode once.
Once, okay. Watched it like 1.5. So should we do spoilers and like get into the plot,
I feel like at
or
this point, if you're watching a review, you should expect spoilers.
okay, so heavy spoilers. So from what I can recall, and you jump in and chime in, the episode is like what if, and it's basically like Peggy Carter was Captain Carter because she's not American, so she can't be Captain America. But they didn't make her like Captain Britain,
Now,
England,
I just don't feel like that
Europe.
would have sat well with the people. Britain and their history,
Exactly.
I don't think that would have been a good PR look.
No, no, not at all. So basically, instead of Steve Rogers being Captain America, we have Petty Carter. And there's like this explosion happens, and instead of the whole money and research and stuff that goes into this super soldier serum thing being wasted, like she jumps in and she becomes a super soldier. And one of the first things you notice is like, it's such a New York word, but I was like, oh, she's like brolic. Like, she's
Hmm.
just
But
tall.
wait, you skipping ahead. We got to go
Oh, okay.
back because
Okay,
we
how
need to
far?
talk about how the show starts.
Okay, go. Oh, so like the intro.
The intro. So
Okay, yeah.
the intro was basically like you hear this deep, luxurious, velvety voice, and it's the amazing Jeffrey Wright who's voicing the Watcher, and
Mm,
he talks about how he's pretty much the observer. He doesn't intervene, he doesn't alter anything. He literally is just there to watch, observe, and record. And at some point, like you're in the galaxy, and then something shatters. It's like something glass like shatters. Within those shatters, you see like all of the Avengers. You see like T'Challa. I think you even see Shuri. You see their mom, and there's all these like different what if scenarios. And as that's happening, he's talking about how one decision can alter the state of the
mm,
universe.
yes.
So my question is, because they didn't really, I don't think they made this clear. I think they kind of left it open to interpretation. I wonder, is this an introduction into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, or is this a result of what happened in Loki when
Isn't all that connected?
old girl killed um
King?
his fine self? Yes.
Yeah.
Woo! Sorry.
No, it's completely understandable.
But yeah, I
Um,
wonder if that is the result because at the end of, if you haven't seen Loki, spoiler alert, at the end when she kills Kang, that long stream of, I
oh
guess,
yes.
the perfect universe
Yeah.
starts breaking off into different branches. I wonder if what if is basically those different branches. Am I
Oh,
making
that would be
sense?
dope. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Because you
that
know
makes a
how
bunch.
Marvel be like connecting stuff, and then they
Yes.
bring it back around and they flip it, twist it,
Yeah.
and reverse it. I feel like that's what they're doing right now.
With the what if, yeah, it's exploring all those different timelines for
Because literally
sure.
she just made one decision. So it basically, so the show basically starts and it follows Captain America. I think it's the first Captain America. It basically follows the whole part where he first of all, they waste no time. They get right to it.
Right
They're
to
not
it.
sitting here building the story. You know the characters, you know their personalities. Let's get to the meat and bones of it. So it starts off the same way. When he gets ready to take the serum, and all the way up until the point where the doctor or the scientist asks her, does she want to like step behind the glass or distance herself away from the experiment that's about to happen? In the movie, she said yes, and she goes up the stairs and sits on like a
Right.
balcony or something. In this show, she says no, and she stays with everybody else. So she's like down in the pit with Stark and the scientists and everybody else. And then
Right.
that's when things go left from her making
Things
that one decision.
things go left. She seizes the opportunity to go and take the serum again so that they don't waste the money and all that stuff. And she becomes essentially the super soldier. And, she deals with sexism in that regards. And she goes, and I'm like, compartmentalizing it, but like she and Steve Rogers ends up. It reminded me of the Iron Giant because he gets into this like mech suit
Hmm.
and he's here
Yeah,
like
he ends
fighting
up.
and.
They find a way to weave him in. So Steve doesn't get any superpowers. He's still like scrawny Steve. But
Mm-hmm.
what I really appreciated about the show is even though he didn't get those powers, he's the only one that's not hating on Peggy. I think
Thank God.
Him and Stark are the only two that aren't hating on Peggy. He still respects her. He still is like madly in love with her, and he finds his own way to still be a part of the fight without like compromising who he is.
Right, right, exactly. And they fast forward. There's that. What was the name of that guy with the red face, the red skull
So
head
Red
guy?
Skull,
Well, his name is Red Skull.
basically.
That's hilarious. So he's here. They're talking about Hydra, all that sort of stuff. They're talking about the Tazarac,
Hmm.
and they put the Tazarac in something, and it opens up a portal for some sort of, I forget the name that they called.
That's different too, because in the film they use the Tesseract to make weapons.
Right,
I don't think they actually opened a portal.
right. But this one, it was like harvesting like energy, right, so that they could
Hmm.
open this portal for like the chosen one of Hydra or something to come through, and we don't actually get to see in completeness and fullness, if you will, the character, but it seems to be like some sort of octopus type of
Some
thing.
giant squid.
Yeah, with a lot of teeth, because
I
there was
don't get what's up with superhero movies because a lot of time the big creature is usually some type of squid
Hmm.
or some type of sea creature.
They do that a lot,
It's
and
either
they
like a giant starfish or a giant squid or a giant shark
yeah, and
man.
they do like the portal with like these flying human vampire things coming out of the sky. They do that a lot too,
Hmm.
right? I think like Justice League, Power Rangers, the reboot,
Avengers.
Ultron. There's like portal things flying out the portal.
Hmm. It's a
So
formula and they stick to it.
and I'm tired of it personally, but sure, do it. You know, it works. So that's essentially like the plot. Peggy defeats with the help of Steve and some other people that they save and break out of prison. Um, defeats the creature thing, and she gets sucked into the Tazarac essentially. Then something kind of happens. I don't know if it's like a cutscene, and then she just pops back out, and she's like there in what you call it, the Shield ship. What would you say? Right? Because there's whoever Samuel Jackson plays now, I'm
Nick
blanking on his
Fury.
name. Right.
She
Nick
basically
Fury.
pops up in what would be considered our present day. So instead of, so like in the movie, I think when they found, in the movie they found Captain America, he was frozen and they thawed him out and he woke up there. She
Right.
literally, it's like she literally cut through time and space and she literally walked out of her time and walked into like present day New York.
Yeah, it could have been like maybe they were trying to activate the Tazarac too, and she just like came out of it.
Hmm.
And she's like on this ship, and they're like, whoa, 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 like, the war has ended X amount of years ago. And she's like, of course the war has ended. And then it kind of just stops, right? Like, I feel like it's a pretty
But from
abrupt
what I was
ending.
reading, they say she's going to be like the thing that weaves everything together. So we should get a glimpse of more of her, which I think is dope. We should get more of a glimpse of her through the other episodes.
Okay, so I guess that kind of
So
makes sense too, though. If they're really gonna show like maybe like an alternate Avenger assembly, it would make sense to kind of have her continuing in the
be the
other
lead of it
episodes.
all. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of things that I noticed. So I think when she comes out of the portal and it's Nick Fury and I think Hawkeye.
Yes, it's Hawkeye.
So usually Nick Fury's right hand woman, I guess you would say, is I can't remember her name, but she's always in Agents of Shield. But usually his right hand is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
She's an agent of Shield, so it was interesting to see Hawkeye. So I'm curious to see if he's no longer Hawkeye. And then
Oh, okay.
uh we didn't get a Bucky.
Yes, we did.
No.
He's in the show.
No, I'm
She.
saying Bucky didn't turn I mean Bucky didn't turn in, we didn't get a Winter Soldier.
Oh, no, we didn't. Not yet. At least. Not yet. Because they actually do make a comment about like how she almost ripped off his
His
arm.
arm, yeah. So what
And I
I'm
was like,
saying is
ooh.
when, because they switched places, because usually at first it was when they did the train scene in the movie, it was Bucky that they thought died, and that's how he became the Winter Soldier. But it was Steve, and then because he was in the suit, he actually didn't die. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
are they gonna just do away with the Winter Soldier, or is somebody else gonna have a whole different Winter Soldier origin story?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Does Steve Rogers becoming Captain America impact Bucky becoming the Winter Soldier? Like,
Mm-hmm.
can he still become the Winter Soldier anyway with a Captain Carter? We do not know.
What if?
Um, I want to talk just a little bit about the characters, if it makes sense. Like, what did you think about seeing Stark and Peggy and Steve and Bucky and even Nick Fury in this medium in this episode?
I think it was interesting to see that although they did make some drastic changes, they pretty much kept the core of who everyone is. Like Peggy was pretty much still the same Peggy that we all know and love from the Marvel universe. Same thing with Bucky. Same thing with Stark. Same thing with Steve Rogers. And I like they managed to pack a whole movie into 30 minutes.
Right? I thought the episode was gonna be longer, and at times it even felt longer. And I was like, "Dang, we just went through all of that in
All of
like
that,
no
like
time."
they knock it down. They were like, these are the bullet points, catch up or get left. and
Yeah.
they steamroll through, and they cover pretty much everything. Like they cover the war, they cover Hydra, they cover Peggy and her training. Um, how did you feel about the animation style?
That's great. Before we get into that, I want to
Okay.
say I like love Bucky, right? Like love him. And I was a little bit let down by his character in the show because I felt like I don't know if I felt like I was going to like love an animated character,
Hmm.
but I was like it's not giving me like enough Bucky Barnes. Like I don't know, maybe
I
he
don't
just
feel like we got
translates.
enough interactions with him and other characters. Like he was
Okay.
just there for like a lot of comic relief. Like he kept giving a lot of one-liners. Like at one
Yeah.
point, there's this giant squid about to kill everybody, and he's just like, "Who ordered the calamari?" And I'm like, I don't know if I
Yeah.
like this smart Alec Bucky, but in the movies, that's the kind of person he was before he became the Winter Soldier. He was very like smart, quick, had like quick remarks. Everybody had like there was a lot of like jibs and jabs because like when they told Stark like you need to join the fight, he was like, "Listen, I just push the buttons."
Yes, yes.
He's like, "I'm not jumping in that machine. I push the buttons. I know my lane and I stay in it."
Exactly. So getting into the visual style, start with Bucky. That I just don't feel like he looked that much like the actor compared to everybody else's character,
Hmm.
which I think lent itself. So overall for the style, if you haven't, by the time this episode comes out, if you're interested in this series, you should have seen this. But it reminds me a bit of like the whole like video game genre
It
style.
felt very video, and I wonder if that's intentional.
I don't know. And then it also reminded me of the show Archer because
Oh
it's like
yeah.
they have these 3D elements that have 2D shaders on it. And me personally, I don't like that aesthetic. That's just a me
I don't
thing.
it's I don't know, there's something about it that's jarring, but what I do say is I did like so they have like the 3D effects, but you can tell there's 2D drawings, especially when it comes to the facial expressions. I
Hmm.
really liked
Hmm.
how they nailed because there's like a lot of in the action they still managed to nail a lot of the facial expressions. They have kind of like I guess that Into the Spider Verse where you can tell like this is a 3D movie, but people went in and did 2D
Right.
drawings on top of these 3D models. I got a little bit of that. It's not all throughout, but in the moments where it's important, it's there. Um,
Right.
I think this is them playing the long game, and eventually we're gonna get like VR video, like regular video games, but VR video games. And I
Hmm.
also think they went with this. Well, this is just me. I could be totally wrong, but I think they went with this style because this animated style gave them the room to be as close as they could to the cinematic universe, as far as like visually.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I think that this style also allows them um to have that like graphic comic book style because all the
Hmm.
characters essentially have like a black outline on
Hmm.
them, and it felt pretty much like comic booky. And I think they had to be kind of also really strategic. Like they could have created a visual animated style just for this show, but I think maybe that also would have made more people compare them to DC's animated stuff because
Hmm.
DC has
A
a very
very
distinct
distinct, yes.
animated style for their cartoons and whatnot. So to just completely like draw a harsh line, do something that's just really not that comparable.
I think it's just Marvel being smart too because they're going to be able to do graphic novels from this, comics, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to be able to do posters, they're going to be able to do toys, and the toys are going to almost be life exact match to what's in the
I
show.
know. Yeah,
It's
and
they
if they
they
were
see
to make
the
this,
picture
sorry.
and they plan for it.
Yeah, I think if they were to make this too cartoony, not even stylized, but too cartoony, that you wouldn't take the show as seriously
Hmm.
either.
And I think
So
this is their
this
way of avoiding it being flat, like you said, like cartoon. You can get like DC has a very distinct style, but their animation style is flat.
yes. Yeah, but it also allows DC to have more mature content. Like they could go the spectrum with their
Hmm.
stuff. And I think maybe Marvel could slightly pigeonhole themselves if they went something more maybe commercial,
Yeah, because they said
than
they're
what they're
going to do
doing.
more animated projects. So I wonder, is this going to be the style going forward for all of their
I hope not.
animated projects?
That's just me, but I hope not. I hope they explore different animation styles. This probably is going to suit this story that
Hmm.
they're telling, this purpose of this project, but I personally would like them to explore other styles.
I think this style works for this show because I feel like this is going to tie directly into the cinematic universe.
Oh, absolutely. I
I
think
wouldn't be
so.
surprised if this is like a sneak peek into what we might get from the cinematic universe.
Yeah, it just has to be. They're doing so much connective like tissues work with all their shows, and then the shows, connecting to the movies in a very, very intelligent way that it would be a shame if this show didn't somehow intertwine with that stuff.
But
Yeah.
they're all about the long game, so I don't see them making this and then it not tying in with the franchise.
Yeah. So, did you have any highs and lows from that first episode?
Honestly, it was so fast paced. It was just kind of like, all right, let's just get through this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see my high pace is I'm curious to see what happens now that she's in present day. Like her being Captain Carter, how how does this create the domino effect throughout everything else?
Mm-hmm.
Um
Yeah. I guess if I had to force a low moment, it would be maybe just how fast everything really
it was
was,
so
actually.
fast.
Yeah.
And
Like, even,
I think what makes it so fast is that they squeeze like a 2 hour, they squeeze 2 hours worth of content into 30 minutes.
which makes sense because most people that are watching this, you would hope, would have watched the movie already. So we
Hmm.
don't need to go through everything. But at one point, you're just like, we just went through everything.
Literally, like
Ye-
they went through the Captain America movie and they're like, cool, now here's where we divert. And that was like the last
yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah, I guess the low would be just kind of how abrupt it ends. So maybe this is, at least with the first an episode, people who binge the series may not feel it as much.
Hmm.
But for us to have to wait another week, it's like I actually want this to make a bit more sense, like now.
Because I'm also wondering, I'm like, is that just so like the next episode, are we going to get a completely different storyline and we're not going to see Peggy for like another 2, 3 episodes?
No, she, like you said, she probably has to be a part of the next episode in some capacity. And that
Hmm.
actually leads me to kind of winding down our little chat really quick. It's, what do you think, which is so hard to even tell, but like the next episode could be? Or maybe what do you what are you looking forward to, if I could change it to the series then, based off of the first episode?
I'm torn. So I really want to see how um T'Challa is as Star-Lord.
Mm.
And then I also want to figure out this zombie spin because I keep seeing like clips and snippets of Captain America as a zombie. So I'm
Oh,
like, how did that even come into play? And
yeah.
then I'm curious to see how the lineup rolls out. Um it's like there's so much in the air. It's like I can't even like land on what I want to see.
I feel you. I feel you. I want to see if Bucky becomes Winter Soldier.
Hmm.
And I'm very curious, yeah, if and how, what the differences will be like, because we're in an alternate universe where one decision, creates a different timeline, and stuff like that. So if the Avengers really still do become the Avengers, and what their alternates or variants, right, will be. I'm very invested in that, and how this could, and if this will connect to the Doctor Strange and the Spider-Man movies. You know, I think it would be interesting if they were to have some sort of hints to the shows, but I think that could be asking for a lot.
It's definitely a lot. I don't I they in a bag right now. I gotta give it to them because I can't even tell you what's coming next.
No, there's no way. There's absolutely, like, who's gonna be
It's
the next
literally the
person?
multiverse of madness. Anything goes.
Yeah, because, like, okay, so let's just say Peggy now is with Nick Fury and Hawkeye, and do they go to, like, get, the next Avenger, and because that Avenger makes, like, or someone makes some sort of decision, it flips how the Avenger becomes a part of the team. You
Because
know.
in the cinematic universe, they started with Tony Stark. So I'm wondering if they're gonna flip it because they basically started on Earth. So I wonder if they're gonna flip it and start in the galaxy, and we're either gonna get like Thor or T'Challa as Star Lord, or just I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, Kevin Feige. Like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm stressed.
yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see, and we'll keep going through the show,
I
and
will say another high point. I just thought about it. I really do appreciate that they didn't make Peggy do the whole like the way they did Captain America, and he had to go and perform and do all of the buy the bail bonds, and I'm so glad they didn't do that to her because I feel like that could have went so it would have just been inappropriate to have
and
her
it's
do
not
all of that.
necessary. It's
Yeah, I
absolutely
think it
not
would have been
necessary.
unnecessary, and I'm glad they were just like, nope.
And they even made like a joke about that too,
Hmm.
when Stark was giving her her costume. And
He,
I don't. Wait, what are you thinking?
I, I'm glad they made that call not to do that. I think they also were just like something unnecessary. Like you already knew who Peggy is. You know she's not with that. Um, I didn't like old dude that just kept telling her like you lucky to be in the room.
Yes.
Like before I would have been Captain Carter, I would have karate chopped you in the throat talking to me like that. Who you talking to?
Well, she let him know. She definitely by the end of the episode, she told him about himself. She was like, "Well, you're lucky you're in the room."
Right, and then he on the phone with the president talking about, yeah, I told her to put on the suit, and I told her to wear the shield, and I told him to build the what do they call it? The
I don't know what they call that thing.
not the Nazi stomper, the Hydra stomper. Is that what they called
Hydra
him?
stomper. I think something like that.
And it was like, dude was a hater from day one.
Day one. Yeah. Well, um, that's it. That's the episode. I just wanted to have someone to chat and talk about this with. I think it went a lot better than if I was to sit here by myself and do it. So I thank you so much, Jaren. Can you just tell the people that may want to check out your stuff on social media how they can reach and find you?
Yes, I am at Jaren Merchant on all social media platforms, JAARON, and then merchant like a sales merchant. Um, I haven't been as active on social media as I should be, but that's because I'm working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes.
And that's
Um,
completely fine. But
NDAs ain't no joke,
Jaren is
and I'm
lurking,
drowning in
so
them. Yep.
she's there. She's just looking at stuff, liking stuff here and there. But
Yep, I'll say hey, and then I'll disappear into the atmosphere.
yeah, but thank you so much. And for those of you that are watching and or listening, please tweet, comment your thoughts, all that sort of stuff, and let's get the dialogue going. The show's hashtag is Simplyrobotixpod. Use it, and I'll be able to find what you're saying, and we can engage in conversation. So until next time, see ya.
Peace.